Hello, and welcome to Create TV's Green Video Boot Camp. After learning about the Santa Clara Valley watershed, my fellow students and I decided to examine the impact urban runoff has on our lives and local environment. Watersheds are areas of land where all of the water underneath it and above it flow to the same location. Before we started our project, we decided to find out how many people actually know what urban runoff is.
Quick explanation of what you think urban runoff is.
Urban runoff is urban runoff the pollution by members of the city?
I don't really know.
Pollution.
Do you know what a watershed is?
Yes, know what a watershed is. It's a shed that protects all of our water.
Watersheds are they clean the water after it goes to sewer, right?
I'm not exactly sure.
Urban runoff is any discharge that runs across the pavement into a storm drain and enters our local creeks and moves on to the San Francisco Bay.
Urban runoff is water that runs off of paved, impermeable surfaces without being filtrated by natural vegetation. An impermeable surface would be something that I'm standing on now, and a permeable surface would be something like grass.
And as it flows, it collects pollutants such as copper, motor oil, litter, trash, sediment. And this water can come from rain, it can come from irrigation runoff, like overwatering your lawn, or other sources such as draining pools and washing your car unless you drive by.
So when it rains, what happens is chemicals from homes, vehicles, construction sites, and factories get washed into our watershed without being filtered by natural vegetation.
Anything that can be carried away by rainfall. Some of it you can see in the water as it moves along, but others it gets dissolved.
Here in the South Bay, most cities, it goes down the storm drain, and once it enters the storm drain, it goes into our the municipal separate stormwater sewer system.
And then flow untreated directly to our local creeks and then to either San Francisco Bay or Monterey Bay, depending on where you live in the county, and from there it heads on out to the ocean.
So urban runoff is comprised of many elements, chemicals, and compounds. So for example, at a gas station you might find gasoline and oil. You might find fertilizers and pesticides from lawns and parks or golf courses, and that's a significant source of phosphorus and nitrogen.
Heavy metals, oils and greases, pesticides, petroleum products, litter.
Herbicides, trash, sediment, copper, and chlorine. Since urban runoff carries a variety of pollutants, the long-term effects can be that it can harm wildlife, it can sicken or kill wildlife. Also, large volumes of stormwater can cause erosion and change temperatures and other conditions in creeks.
Lower biodiversity, problems reproducing, habitat degradation, and the modifying of DNA, as well as the accumulation and deposition of toxic sediments that are very hard to remove once they're in.
So a wildlife refuge is, you can gather from the name, it's a place that's sort of a safe haven for wildlife. Basically, it's like a park, and it's an area that we're trying to maintain for the native plants and animals that are from this region, that have been here for thousands and thousands of years.
So urban runoff is the number one impairment to estuaries, and estuaries are very important in the life cycle of some species, as well as feeding grounds and nesting grounds. Otherwise known as agricultural runoff.
A lot of the farming areas where they use a lot of fertilizers and pesticides, and they're plowing over the fields and there's a lot of soil that's not planted, the soil can run off and cause sedimentation of the creeks and fill in areas where the fish would lay their eggs. The rural runoff will carry the fertilizers and pesticides out into the waterways.
I'm not certain that we have reached the point of no return, but we're certainly on our way. Some examples would be recently the flooding of the Mississippi River, where all of the sanitation and the fertilizers and pesticides were polluted the Mississippi River, as well as made it down into the mouth of the Mississippi River and just made the dead zone there even worse.
There's a lot of cities in third world countries and in the Caribbean nations where the industrial age has been very hard on them. San Francisco Bay has got numerous problems, as does Chesapeake Bay and the Gulf of Mexico and all the dead zones there. Most of the local creeks here in Santa Clara County are impaired due to pesticides, and that's coming from residential users that are applying it right before it rains. So it's hard to say if we're past the point of no return.
There's a few things that we can do to cut down on urban runoff, including when you garden, you can use fewer chemicals and move more towards environmental friendly alternatives. We can reduce impermeable surfaces by going green and maybe adding a garden on top of our roof, or using environmental friendly sidewalks that allow cracks within the sidewalks that allow the rain to then filtrate. Bioswales are good to filter out chemicals, or you can just simply make sure that your car is maintenance so it's not leaking oil or antifreeze.
Now when you wash your car, you're not only washing off dirt, you're washing off detergent, automotive fluids, motor oil, heavy metals. All of that is carried by the wash water down the storm drains, into the storm drains, to the creeks and the bay. When you go to a commercial car wash, those car washes are actually plumbed to go to the sanitary sewer, and the sanitary sewer takes it to the wastewater treatment plant, where the water is cleaned prior to being released into the bay.
Oh, there's lots of things that everyday people can do about it, because everyday people are the people that are the biggest polluters. So we hear on the news about the Costco Bussons and the bigger industries, but it's the actions of everyday people right in their own front yard that causes pollution. So you can litter less, you can take care of your cars and not have them leak, you can use non-copper brake pads, you can dispose of hazardous waste properly, use pesticides according to their labels, never apply them when it's going to rain. There's just a ton of things that you and me and everybody can do to help clean up the waters of the United States. Species are amazing. They can bounce back if we give them the opportunity to do that, but everybody needs to do their part to start cleaning up the waterways and the oceans in order for that to happen.